Hi everyone and welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. In this episode, we are headed off to Sydney Harbour with the guys from the East Coast Bream Series to cover round one of the 2024 series. So this was held back on March 24 and was the Bill Maguire Memorial Round. So let's roll the intros and I'll tell you what's going on.
Welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target bream on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite bream competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here's your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
All right, so this week is a great week. We are headed off to the Georges River with the Hobies, and it's all lining up to be a cracking round. With the recent rains and what have you, the water should be clearing, and I'm predicting there'll be some fish. The fish are kind of, this time of year, they start to move downriver and head out to spawn, and are usually in reasonable condition. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So in terms of results, who's going to win? Like, is Luke Kay going to come over the top and take out another smashing massive bag? Will Chris Hickson come through and do a bit of junk fishing and dominate? He's certainly done that before. Will Jason Marshall do the long paddle across to the Cooks River and bring it home from there? In any case, I guess we'll know in a week or so. All right, so fishing.com.au on the Friday night. We're headed out there. There should be a couple of people speaking, might be a Q&A. Not sure how that's going to be. In store, you don't have to be part of the comp to come along. But yeah, come along, say hello to me, say hello to Adam, and it should be a good night, and I look forward to seeing you all there. All right, in other things around the country, this weekend is also the East Coast Bream Series Lake Mac round. And then moving on past that into the start of June, we've got the Queensland Open. So will Morgo be able to take a win up there? I think he said to me the other day he hasn't taken a win in the Queensland Open. Could this be the first one? I guess we'll see. Hopefully they get some good weather up there. They seem to have been smashed more often than not in terms of weather. All right, in this particular event, this was, like I said, was held back on March 24 on Sydney Harbour. We had 90 in the fish activity wheel. So according to the bite periods and all that sort of stuff, on that sort of data, it was a high fish activity day. We had a major bite period at 10:57 through to 1:27 p.m. with a high tide at 8:42 at 1:55, running down to a low at 3:04 at 0.32. Now, the average bag, the winning bag was 2.93 for three fish, which gives an average of 977 grags for the winning bag. So that's what you got to keep up with if you want to catch a fish at this time of year and win a comp. All right, let's get through to the angler interviews. First up in third place, we have the Live Scope losers. Now, on the day, they dropped three fish for 2.53, and with me, I have Matt Hall. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, that's a fantastic name. I like it. I know we did go into it before recording, so yeah, some people will know what that's about and some won't, I guess.
Yeah, if you have Instagram, you'll know Live Scope losers down under in the cod scene, and yeah, it was just a little piss take at that, I suppose.
Fair enough. I like it. All right, let's run through the competition. So tell me, did you get a chance to have a pre-fish?
Not at all. I hadn't actually fished the harbour this year. I think the last time I was there was probably November.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, not too much changes from November to now. It's the same sort of temperature. So we just went out and did what we know. I fished with Daniel Hayes, and he done it last year, this comp, and he got third. So, second. He got second. So not my usual partner, but yeah, we teamed up this year and yeah, pretty much went off what we know and seemed to work out.
Fair enough. So just what'd you kind of have tied on first up before you started?
You can't go wrong with a Cranka Crab in Sydney Harbour.
Yeah.
Obviously the mussel as well, and the crabbies, basically.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
As everyone probably throws, but it's where you put them.
Exactly. No, I figured you were going to say Cranka Crabs. So, all right, let's roll around to comp day. How about you give us a little bit of a rundown about how your day was and, how you went about catching your fish?
So, yeah, we pretty much started boats early because I think it was a high tide, but it's not something I'd usually do, but it's what Dan did last year. So we tried it. We caught, I think, maybe a 30 early, and I think another 30 out of hen and chicken, I think it was. And then we pretty much just bounced our way sort of the further towards the bridge, hitting jetties, anywhere with a bit of current on it. And by, I think it was maybe 10 o'clock, we went east. Same thing, jetties, boats. And then I think by the low, we were just out east and fishing anything with a bit of shade and a bit of poles. Ended up in Manly, I think it was, Middle Harbour. And then bounced back to one of my favourite boats. I think it was like, I don't know the bay. It was Watson's area, I think it was, at 150. And we got an upgrade there. And I literally made it back to hen and chicken from Watson's Bay in about 9 minutes.
Wow.
Which
That's
at that time of day, with the amount of ferries out there, it was chaos. But we got back with like 30 seconds to spare.
right.
But it was worth it to get that one upgrade.
Definitely. So you're motoring along. What sort of boat are you running in?
I got a Basscat Ira and a Yamaha 250 show on the back.
Right.
So it moves.
It gets along.
Yes.
All right, let's dial back into the fish a bit. How'd you find it? Did you get most of them on poles, or like how was your day?
So early, we obviously those boats didn't work. I think it was a high tide early. I can't remember now too much, but yeah, we went cranking, I think it was, down the Para sort of thing, and then hit some jetties along the same time as water sort of started dropping off. But yeah, I think the best fish came at about 8:30 on a crank, and then that was a 37 fork, I think it was. So that was the kicker to the bag. And then I think the next big fish was about a 34 fork, and that one came off a pole on a cranker.
On a cranker.
Brown crab.
Okay. And what do you say you were cranking? Is there any particular lure you're running?
Oh yeah, pretty much only run one lure, and that's the Jackal Suji.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Common. It's nothing special in fishing the harbour. It's like I said, where you put those lures, but everyone uses the same stuff, I reckon, there. But can't go wrong with a Jackal Suji, and in the brown gill, I think it's called.
Yeah, it's one of them.
I think it's one of the common colours.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what you've named off Cranka Crabs, Jackal Chubbies, what else? The muss and crabbies. So you picked
crabbies,
4 of the gun lures, which is kind of interesting. I guess if people had those in their box, they'd have a
pretty good chance.
Pretty much everything covered.
Yeah, you don't need much more. I mean, a lot of people throw aquas around the harbour as well, but it's not me. I didn't even throw a single crabby that day. That was all Dan. So Dan kept them on, and he was getting numbers, but the bigger fish definitely ate the crabs and the mussel.
Yeah.
But like I said, the biggest fish that comp came off the crank. So yeah, that's probably my favourite type of fishing to do in the harbour. Okay.
So you were cranking pontoons, like just pulling it in underneath. Is that what you're doing, or cranking edges?
No. So we had a high early.
Yeah, 8:40.
We only had probably about, not even half an hour of 2 spots I like. It needs to be real high water. And that fish came early off that. And then once water started dropping a bit, we hit jetties and stuff like that.
Okay.
Which was, the crank went away after that.
Sure.
So basically, that first big fish. And then, just pretty much I had an olive and a brown crab and a mussel on my rods. Didn't change, and Dan persisted with the crabbies, which got us our bag. But I don't think anything of the 3 in the end came off a crabby.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the other 3, like mussels and crabs have been shown to be big fish lures.
Yeah.
And the harbour is one of the places where they shine.
Yes, it would have been good if the comp was a 5-fish comp, because other 2 we were pretty much throwing away 33s, so our bag would have been relatively decent for 5. But it's unfortunate they've made it 3.
Yeah. All right. What sort of lines and leaders are you running in the harbour?
I think I don't think you can buy it in Australia. It's the J-Braid Grand, I think it is, but it's in the chartreuse. You can only buy, I think it's multicolour and blue, I think it is.
Yeah.
In Australia. So I got that overseas. I've done that in, I think, 8 pound, and then vary from dirtiness of water, and it depends. Yeah, it's 8 pounds sometimes in some heavy structure cranking, and I'll go down to at least 4 or 3 pound if I'm east fishing boats with no structure.
Yeah, okay.
You need to, definitely when there's no wind.
Yeah, fair enough. And it sounds like you did a really big milk run, like from hen and chicken all the way through to
Yeah, like I said, we didn't practice and we didn't figure out any area where bigger fish were holding. It was just, let's just bounce everywhere and hit every spot we've caught a big fish on in the past.
Yeah.
And we had a great day. It was actually, very consistent. It wasn't like a stop-start where we had breaks where we weren't catching. It was almost every spot. I don't know if everyone else was like that, but yeah, I was very surprised because I hate full moons, especially the days after a full moon.
Yeah.
I feel like they shut their mouth, but yeah, it was different.
Definitely.
They were definitely chewing.
Definitely. And 2.53, you're only like 60 grams behind second and, 400 grams behind first. Like there's not a couple of fish and you're all over it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I think, like a 37, a 34 and a 33, but they were that 37, it only weighed a kilo, even though it was a relatively long fish. It was quite a skinny fish.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And that was the one that came off a crank. He didn't have a belly on him at all.
Yeah, because usually 36 fork is going to get you a kilo. So 37 should have been a bit more.
Yeah, it was dead on. I think they weighed him for Big Bream and it was 101.
Right.
Mm.
There you go. You still would have been pretty happy to see him hit the net.
Of course, and to catch it off a crank, it's chaos when they start running sideways across the shale.
Absolutely.
It's, my like I said, my favourite way to catch them.
Yeah, okay. And how does it look when you guys put a kilo in the well?
Great, especially early. We had, like I said, 2 30s in there from the boats. And the next spot along was a 37. It was just like, that's a great start.
Yeah.
To have your bag early and, some decent ones in there. And it was just literally, like I said, we're throwing away 32s and 33s all day. And in a 5-fish bag, you're kind of happy with them.
Yeah, definitely. All right. I reckon that's a pretty cool rundown. A great way to kick off the show. Mate, what's up for you next? What's your next comp?
I was open. That's in 2 weeks now. So
that's it. It might be already run before this comes out. We're not quite sure. We'll see. So
well, I've done it twice in the past, and it's a tough comp. I do prefer it when they go to Hawkesbury one day to split it up because I don't have that many spots to do 3 days. So we'll see how we go. I'm excited.
Yeah, very good, very good. I look forward to seeing you there. All right, mate. That is a great rundown. Great way to kick off the show, mate. I want to thank you for coming on, and I will see you at the end.
Cool. See you then.
Thank you. Okay, fishing.com.au, your one-stop bream lure and tackle shop. Pick up the latest tackle, including Muscle Vibes, Cranka Crabs, OSP bent minnows, Z-Man plastics, Eco Gear lures, and Daiwa rods, reels, and tackle. Same-day shipping, shop where the world champion, the Australian champion, and the current ABT champion shops. Fishing.com.au, online or in-store at shop 18/29 Kiora Road, Miranda. All right, for the upcoming round on the Georges, there's a few things that I think are going to come into play. So first up is your deep bite lures such as Cranka Crabs and Muscle Vibes. So these are going to come into play, I think, in the bottoms of vertical structure, bridge pylons, and what have you. Definitely keep that in your arsenal if that's the type of lure you like to use. I think they'll definitely play this weekend. Also, in terms of deep bites, the Eco Gear VX 35s and 40s, grab a couple of those on Friday night, take them out, and I think you'll be a chance of catching a couple of decent bream on those. And if not, you might pick up a random Dewey. I've heard there's a few about. And finally, you've gulp prawns and crabbies. So I think with the fresh water, which should be clearing up, it should be pretty decent water quality by the time the comp comes around. But I still think these smelly scented lures are going to play into the fishing and might help you just nail a bag or even a bigger fish. So gulp prawns and crabbies, you can't go past them. Fishing.com.au. All right, so coming in a second place, dropping 3 fish for 2.59, which included a kicker fish of 1.08 from Team Tackle, Addiction, and Gladiator Tackle. I've got John Watton. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Mate, that's a good little result for first round.
It is. It was a really good result for us. I fished with young Jayden Grace. It's only his second ever tournament, so we were real happy. We set ourselves a plan and stuck to it pretty much and got the result.
Exactly. And look, with an average of sort of just under 900 grams per fish, mate, you caught some good ones.
Yeah, look, when you get your 3 fish in the well fairly at like sort of 20 to 8 in the morning and then you're starting to upgrade 36 centimetre fish, you've got some kind of idea you're having a pretty decent day.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's go back before that. Mate, what do you guys do in terms of pre-fishing, getting ready for the comp?
Well, we pre-fished it as much as we could in spots. I grew up fishing the Parramatta River, and we fish spots that we don't sort of usually fish, but we know should hold fish, just with different techniques and different lures than we probably normally would fish socially. And yeah, we sort of found a bit of a pattern on where fish were holding and set a game plan from there.
Right. And if you found a couple of spots, were they sort of similar in terms of water depth and what have you, or were they just random spots that seemed to work?
No, it was all pretty much structure and boat holes. We didn't do any flats fishing at all, which is something we do a lot of. And there was nothing, we didn't do any deep fishing basically. We didn't find any bait and sit on the bait. We just hit marinas and boats and bridges and got the fish at the right time, I guess, at the right time of the tide.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, what's one of the things I like about the harbour? There's so much structure, so much good fishing to be had. So,
there is. You can get fish. You can get fish all the way up to Silverwater Bridge, but we've had probably 36, 37 centimetre fish up there. So you can get some good fish all the way up the river. It's a good system.
All right. So moving on to comp day, mate. Tell us a bit about your day and how you went about catching your fish. You said you got them early, so let's have a bit of a story about that.
We got them early. We hit a marina first up. We were about 17 or so we're about in the first third of the field. We hit a marina early, and I got a fish second cast on a OSP Dice. Just lathered that up with triple X scent, dizzy scent, and I got a 31 centimetre fish, which was good.
That's very good.
It's good to get that first fish in the boat. And that was, probably 10 past 7. So we plodded along the outside edge of that marina. I then got a switch to the original mussel from the Outback Breamer boats. And I then got another fish, which went 33. So, it was great to have 2 fish in the well by 7:15. And, we just plugged away with mussels and some just Gulp Shrimp, threw on the dice. Ended up getting another fish that went 36.
Right, okay.
To lock our bag in early. So and it's just a matter of trying to upgrade.
Yeah, okay.
Young Jayden that I fished with, he got busted off on a really good fish.
Oh, no.
On the only mussel he had with him.
Yep.
So I lent him another one.
Yep, fair enough. All right.
Yeah, so when you're looking for upgrades at 20 to 8, your day started off pretty well.
That's right. Yeah, you've had a good start to the day. So, mate, I want to dive back into this. So you've named 3 lures there. Tell me about the dice. How's that going for you?
The dice. Well, I actually used it. I took my kayak out and fished a couple of spots probably 3 weeks prior, and I grabbed a couple of packets of dice off Steve at tackleaddiction.com.au. There's Paul Malov been using them.
Yeah.
And I saw a video he put up, and I decided to give them a go. I went out, I had 5 pound leader on, I got smoked twice.
Ouch.
In about 10 minutes. So for comp day, I'm definitely going to upgrade to 6 pound.
Yeah.
And it seemed to make the difference. So the dice, they're basically on a weedless hook. You just cast them tight to the structure and just let them float in the water, basically. You can lift the rod, give them a little bit of lift for the rod tip here and there, and they seem to just grab them and take off.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a crazy looking lure, but obviously they work.
They do. They seem to work. That day I pre-fished with them. I didn't catch any small fish. I only had the two hookups, and as I said, I couldn't stop either of them. So the big fish seemed to like them.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Also, you were throwing the Outback Bremer baits mussel. How do you guys use them? Like, are you throw them tight to structure, or how's that look?
Yeah, look, we just throw them up against the edges of the marinas or the poles on the marinas and just let them flutter down. They either grab them on the drop or they'll pick them up off the bottom. And quite often, several times on that day, I've cast, I was at the front of the boat and I've sort of cast forward. I've wound the slack up to see my line has gone the other direction.
Right.
And you just wind up tight to a fish, so they basically help themselves.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cool. All right. So, mate, you're on comp day. You're already upgrading. Tell us a bit more about your day.
Well, we went to another spot that I wanted to fish, and there was someone already there. So that was...
Ouch.
We gave up on that spot. So I just picked another marina, and we got 2 upgrades off that. Young Jayden got a 38, and I got a 36.
Nice.
So from that point, our smallest fish was a 36.
Wow.
So we had to upgrade from that, and the pressure sort of come on a little bit there. We went to a few other spots and further downriver. Just, I don't know whether the run in the tide was a bit much, and maybe I wasn't fishing heavy enough. I don't know. We just didn't seem to get it. We actually didn't really get any bites. I think I got one bite, I think, on a Gulp Shrimp.
Okay.
Before we headed upriver again to try some crabs on rock walls.
Right. Okay. So then when you headed upriver, how'd that go for you?
Not real good.
Okay.
We, young Jayden loves his Cranka Crabs and throwing them at rock walls, so I indulged him on that. And maybe we got there at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Maybe too much water had come in off the rock walls. Sure. The tide was running out. Don't know. Just the other days we've been there and just caught fish all day. So just one of them things. It's fishing.
Fair enough.
Then we decided to hit the bridge on the way home, and on the way back to the Wayne, basically. About 12:30, I got that kicker fish.
Ah, okay. So it came late
on the upgrader mussel. Yeah, it came about 12:30.
Wow.
We were just plodding around the bridge and avoiding ferries and boats, and
yeah.
Then you just come up tight to a really good fish.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was right smack in the middle of the bite period. The bite period was 11 till 1:30, more or less. So,
yeah, right.
So that's interesting to get that caliber of fish right in the middle of the period. So
yeah, it's a shame we couldn't get a couple more of those, but we lost a couple of fish throughout the day that possibly could have put us a little bit closer to the guys that ended up winning. But
yeah,
that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's very cool.
It was a good day.
Yeah, mate, and great for the young fella to have a result in his first comp. Yeah, that's
his second
awesome.
comp. Yeah, he did one with his dad last year, and the whole time he was sticking it to, when we got back to the ramp, he was sticking it to his old man. I've done better than you ever have. Because me and his dad have fished a lot of comps together over the years.
Yeah.
It's just one of them days.
Well, there you go. Well, getting the kicker at the end obviously bumped you right up the table. So
definitely. No, we sort of went into it hoping for maybe a top 10.
Yep.
Sort of quietly confident of a top 10, and to get second was just a big bonus.
Yeah, fair enough. Did you pretty much run the 6 pound leader all the way through the day?
I had 6 pound on all my reels.
Yeah. Okay.
And I didn't retire at any stage.
Okay. And what brand do you like?
I've been using the Sunline Blackstream.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that.
And I love it. It's unreal. It's so good.
Okay.
I was using the Harris Fighter.
Yep.
But this stuff is just unreal.
Okay.
I've actually just spooled one of my reels up with it for straight through.
Okay.
To the basin for this weekend. So
in what
see how
weight?
that goes.
What weight?
4 pound.
4 pound. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that, so I'll definitely take a look at that.
Yeah, look it up. It's really good stuff. I got wrapped. I pulled a 36 centimetre fish out. It wrapped me around a pylon in one of the marinas, and I pulled it out, and there was not a nick on the line.
Really?
Not one nick.
That's
I didn't retie all day. Only when I lost a brand new mussel. Cast on the bridge.
Oh no!
I could see it. I hit the timber on the bridge, and I could see it dangling. And I thought I'd just give it a flick to get it off. And it just popped. It on the oyster and just popped it. Cut the leader.
Oh, there you go.
Wasn't happy.
No, not at all.
Brand new out of the packet. First cast.
First cast. Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
27 odd bucks gone.
Yep. I'm hearing you.
But 3 or 4 casts later, I got that kicker fish. So I've forgotten about that.
Yeah, that's the thing, and sometimes if you, especially in like a fishery like the harbour, you got to throw it in tight to structure if you really want to get the big fish.
Yeah,
you're probably not getting them out off the structure. So
it's there for good.
Exactly. All right, mate. Was there anything else on the fishing that we need to cover before we move off?
No, not really. Yeah, it's pretty much our day.
Yeah, sounds like
we tried a few spots for no fish. A few spots that we normally fish that hold fish, and we normally get fish. We didn't get any. So
yeah, and early bags and upgrading is pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It's always good to get your bag early, even if they're small fish. It takes a bit of that pressure off, and you can set about upgrading and trying other things to get those bigger fish.
Yeah. Would you have done anything differently if you got to have the day again?
Probably not. Maybe I would hit the bridge a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but you do what you think's going to work at the time.
That's right.
And, you live by it. If it doesn't work, well, it doesn't work. It's not an easy game. That's for sure. I've been doing it for 15 odd years, 16 odd years.
Yeah.
And, that's the first really good result. We've had a fourth before, but that's the first really good result we've had. So
yeah, nice. That's really good.
It's not an easy game.
No, it's not. It's not, and it's getting harder. And mate, good to see the young fella to get a nice result early.
Oh, he loved it. He loved it, mate. He was he was over the moon. It was good. It was good. I had to calm him down a few times when we got those bigger fish.
Out of curiosity, how old is he?
He's 16.
16. All right.
Yeah.
Well done to you, Jayden.
Loves his fishing. Absolutely loves his fishing, mate. No, he's mad. He's going out tomorrow, actually.
Oh, that's good. Oh, it's school holidays. So that we need to see him in a Hobie, mate. Yeah,
well, they came down to the basin round with us, and they fished the other side of the basin in the boat.
Okay.
And he's going, "Oh, Dad, I want to do Hobie comps. I want to do Hobie comps."
Mm-hmm.
And his dad's like, "Oh, maybe John will lend you his Hobie one of these days." I said, "Mate, whenever you want to take it, just go."
Yeah. Very good. Very good. That's the future of our sport right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, mate, moving forward, mate, what did you get to take home for second?
$1,000.
$1,000. Very tidy.
Yeah.
Very tidy.
Not a bad few hours work.
Yeah, no, that's and you get out to do what you like to do and cover some of those lures that you left on the pylons.
Oh man, I could never make up for all the ones I've lost over the years. But it certainly eases the pain.
It really, really does. All right, very cool. All right, so mate, before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, Steve from tackleaddiction.com.au. He's come on board and looks after me and Jayden, and also Steve from Gladiator Tackle.
Right.
They're looking out for us and they're helping us out in whatever way they can.
Yeah.
So be sure to support them in any way you can. And also Jayden's dad, Jason, for trusting me with his boat and his pride and joy, and his kid.
And his son. That's a big, high-level trust right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I think you said, I can't remember if it was on air or off air, Jayden seemed to let his dad know that he did all right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. His dad was messaging us, just go. And I said, don't reply to him. And because obviously we had to hang around for the presentation and everything, and normally, you don't go any good. You're back at the ramp pretty early.
Yeah.
So we just let him stew on it until we got back to the ramp. And I said, Jayden, put the check in your hand and go up and shake his hand. Leave the check, and his dad's opened the check and gone, "What? What'd you finish?"
Oh, how good!
So he was happy for us.
Yeah, definitely.
He kept telling me we were going to go good, and I said, "Well, thanks for the extra pressure. That's great."
No, very good, mate. What a great story. All right, mate.
Yeah, it was good.
We're going to leave it there, mate. Good luck on the weekend as we record this. You're leading into the Grant Kine Memorial, so mate, I hope you do well there, and hopefully we get to have a chat again.
Yeah, well, hopefully I get to see you. I'll catch up with you at the Hobie up in Royal in a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, definitely come and say hello.
See you on the podium.
Yeah, I hope so, mate.
I'll be fishing next to you.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. All right, mate.
No problems, mate.
Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. If you were in the market for a new fishing kayak or looking to make some upgrades to your existing kayak or possibly looking at fishing kayak fishing tournaments, then HWS is the place to go. James has a full range of Hobie kayaks and stocks the latest kayak accessories and are really dialed in when it comes to the best kayak fishing setup for the casual fisher and tournament angler. hws.com.au at shop 3/638 Pacific Highway, Belmont. Free delivery on Hobie kayaks across all Greater Sydney, Central Coast and Hunter. All right, so if you're coming down for the Hobie kayak competition this weekend or you're just local to Sydney, then it's a great opportunity to get James to bring some stuff down to the comp. You can meet him there. He'll drop it off. Anything from some accessories through to a whole kayak. He'll sort it out, but you need to get on it. If you're looking for a whole kayak, they've got to set them up, do some work to them, so you can't ring up on the Friday afternoon and expect that to happen. However, the other thing that I want to promote at the moment is the Lovick version 3 pants. So they're out there, they're sort of around that circa 180 to 220 mark, that sort of number. But the thing is, they're going to keep you dry, which in turn is going to help keep you warm. Now, the other thing, which is pretty exciting, is the Lovick Snuggie thermal liner. So if you want to fish the winter and stay warm, I think this, although I haven't seen these in the flesh, I think this is going to be something you might want to consider. They line up with the new Lovick 3 pants, which, yeah, it's just going to keep you warm in winter, which obviously makes it way more comfortable to go fishing. It's going to keep you dry. You can walk out into the water, sit your kayak. Anyway, how good is that? hws.com.au. All right, if you've got a boat, kayak or yacht and you're looking at cleaning it up and sprucing up, making it look a whole lot better, I don't think you can go far past Podium Marine Wraps. So Corey is becoming the go-to guy in Sydney when it comes to marine wraps and what have you. He can do anything from just a changing colour through to any sort of sponsors, decals, or your favourite fish, or whatever you like. He'll go through the whole process of designing and installing, and most things will be done in under a day. So he's got an office out at Ingleburn where you can take your boat, kayak or yacht or whatever in or wrap it there. And yeah, it's a full service operation. So if that's something you're interested in, jump online to podiummarinerapps.com.au. You can reach out to Corey at info@podiummarinerapps.com.au. Send him an email. There's a gallery. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. And also Corey's phone number is on the website. So podiummarinerapps.com.au. Next up in first position, dropping 3 fish for 2.93 kilos, which is an average of 977 grams with a big fish of 1.13. I have Craig Noorbergen. Welcome to the show, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew.
Mate, that's a good result for the first round.
Yeah, certainly we're pretty happy with that one. You sort of go out there hoping to catch 3 kilos or slightly better, but yeah, it doesn't always happen. So we're pretty happy to get pretty close to that 3 kilo, which is, I think, the benchmark in these sort of comps.
Exactly. And look, on Sydney Harbour, in that particular comp, you had a number of big names, and to come over the top of that it's no easy feat. So yeah, so well done to the both of you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think, we sort of thought that, we'd be into the top 5, and we thought we had around 2.8, and fully expected that, like you say, with the tournament field that was there and the anglers that were in there, that there'd be a bag or two over the 3 kilo mark. So we're pretty happy certainly to win it, and weren't expecting it. Like we were saying, we thought we might slide into 3rd or 4th position. So yeah, we're pretty happy with that one.
Yeah. Like I said, great start to the year. All right, let's get round to pre-fish. Did you get out to have a pre-fish at all?
Not so much close to the comp day. I have been out sort of most weekends, I suppose, this year on the harbour. And the last pre-fish I did was 2 weeks prior to the comp. So headed out, just spot hopped up and down the Parramatta River, Lane Cove Rivers and that sort of thing, and bumped into a couple of the Western Sydney Bream and Bass guys out on the water, which was good. But 2 weeks beforehand, and I guess the tides were similar and conditions were reasonably similar. So that was as close as we got to a pre-fish.
Were you, like, up until that time, had you cracked onto any patterns? Like, did you find them deep or shallow or on structure, or did you set yourself up for a game plan? I guess is the question.
Yeah, pretty much. In the weeks leading up to it, we had found them. I suppose I like to fish that probably 6 to 12, maybe 6 to 15 foot range. And, we had been catching some really good fish just sitting on poles out the front of pontoons. So there's literally hundreds upon hundreds of them in the harbour. So that was pretty much our game plan, start up the Lane Cove River, hitting some pontoons and poles, and then move around from there, probably back up the river, heading up towards Wharf Road a little bit. But that's basically the plan we started with, and we stuck to it all day pretty much.
Okay. Well, let's get into comp day. Tell us about how you went about catching your fish, and when they come early or late, or what happened.
Okay, we headed for the Lane Cove River, just an area that I'm pretty familiar with, and over the years I've caught some pretty good fish up there. So we headed up there and started hitting a few poles out the front of pontoons and that sort of thing, and found that it was really quiet and the tide was just about stopped. We thought we'd catch the last of the run-in tide. I think, from memory, the top of the tide was maybe 8 or 8:30 or something like that. And we thought we'd get a bit of run in tide, but we found when we got up there that the tide was non-existent. It was still. It ran around a few areas, trying to find fish, and we probably spent about an hour up there running around, from side to side and area to area, and really, I don't think we even got a bite between us. I was throwing crabs at poles, and Rod was throwing hard bodies up the back of pontoons and up hard against the shore. And after about an hour, we hadn't really had a bite. So looking at the water and the lack of movement, we thought we'll get back out in the main body of the harbour, because even if the tide's a bit stiller out there, you've got, the ferry wash and boat wash, and you've got water moving. So, we just wanted to get out somewhere where there was a bit more disturbance in the water and see what we could find. So that's when we moved back out into the main body of the harbour.
Yeah, it's interesting. You were correct in the tides. I mean, it was a 1.55 tide at 8:42, and then running down to a 0.32. So it was a little bit of run, I guess, but not heaps, I guess, as the day went on.
Yeah, no, the run was that slow up the Lane Cove River. It was really, as I say, I don't think we even got a bite for the first hour. But we moved back out into the main body of the Parramatta River, and we sort of focused, I suppose, between the Cockatoo Island and Gladesville Bridge areas. There is a lot of pontoons and poles along that area. And once we hit that sort of area, we probably got our first fish in within about the first 15 minutes. And it was a good fish. It went, I think, about 39 centimetres to the tip. So, we thought, it's probably about 900 grams thereabouts. Pretty happy with that one. He came out without too much of a problem. Kept going along the same run, and probably 10 or 15 minutes after got a second one, which went 38 to the tip. So, we thought that's probably 850-ish, something around there. So pretty happy, two reasonable fish pretty close together. End up getting another good bite just after that, but what we thought was going to be another good bream turned out to be a big leather jacket. He was neatly pinned on one of the Cranka Crab trebles. Don't get too many leather jackets on the crab, but he was pinned, and a bit disappointed to pull him to the surface. But anyway, after that, we sort of up from that area and started moving back up the river and hitting a few spots, just points and pontoons and poles up the river, and didn't really get too much till we got up past the Meadowbank train bridge, and we thought we'd just hit the rock wall up there with the tide flowing. Pretty much first or second cast, we got a good hit. Felt like a reasonable fish, and ended up pulling the hooks on it. And while we're sitting there swearing and carrying on, another fish hit it and picked it up. So I guess, like a lot of the time when you see bream get hooked and they've got mates coming up with them, I guess, this one might have had a couple of mates with him, and when I pulled the hooks and just, left the lure sit there, another one picked it up. So pulled that one in. It wasn't a massive fish. It was probably, low 30s, might have been 500, 550 grams, something like that. And, not long after that, Rod got a nearly identical fish. So we're looking at the two fish, and Rod was sort of saying, well, which one do you want to keep? And I said, look, throw whichever one you want back. I said, if it's still in the bag at the end of the day, it's probably not going to be a great help anyway. So threw one back, and we stayed up there for a little while, but that's all we found, fish around that sort of size. There was nothing sort of bigger, a few smaller ones, a bit of bycatch. So, ended up pulling up from that area and starting to go back up the river with the tide.
Right. And the fish that you got early on, were they all on Cranka Crabs, or did you get a couple on cranks?
Nah, all on Cranka Crabs. Everything was on Cranka Crabs, So after we left the Lane Cove River initially, sort of thing, where we were Rod was throwing a hard body and I was throwing a crab. We both just started fishing crabs. I was throwing mussels as well, but interestingly, the 2 weeks before when I got out, didn't get much interest on the mussel, but got good fish on the crabs. So on the day we were throwing both, and again just seemed to, have a bit more success with the crab. So pretty much stuck with that all day. When we started moving back up the river, we sort of got back to the spot where we got the first couple of bream in that general area, and nearly straight up got a good hit. It was a hit that it was probably about 3 seconds after the lure hit the water. Like, this fish hit it on the drop, and got him in, and it was maybe about 35 centimetres. So we thought, well, that's not a bad upgrade. It's probably 700, something like that. So it probably gives us a couple of 100-gram upgrade.
Yeah. So at what time were you at that point? So you've got 3 in the well, but you're still looking to change out that smaller one that you just caught, I imagine.
Yeah, the one we caught off the rock walls down past Meadowbank Trade Bridge, as I say, we got two of that size, and we wanted to change him out. When we got back up, probably just past the Glazeville Bridge, up along that sort of run there, that's when we got the 35 centimetre fish. So, that one there was probably, by this stage, it's probably getting to 11 o'clock thereabouts.
Yeah.
Tide was in full swing and there's a bit happening, and we sort of moved along there and picked up a couple of fish, but nothing that was any upgrades, a few smaller ones and that sort of thing. So it would have been probably towards the middle of the day, midday. We thought, we'll head back up the Lane Cove River. The tide will be running pretty well, and see if it stirred things up a little bit and if the bite had changed much up there. And to be fair, we got a few hits, nothing, of any size, but it was still fairly quiet until it was about 12:30 off a pole out the front of a run of pontoons again. A fish hit it on the drop. You could tell it was a big fish, and I always like to sort of back the pressure off a little bit and just walk the fish out. So put the electric motor on and just pulled him away from the poles, and he behaved, came out nicely, and slowly got him in, mate. Yeah, that was our biggest fish of the day, which I think was about 42 centimetres to the tip. And I say waiting for big brim, but he went 1.13 kilos, but got beaten on big brim by, I think, a 1.2 kilo model.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a pretty decent kicker fish anyway. Mate, for someone who is just going out to use Cranka Crabs maybe for the first time and doing this sort of fishing, have you got a run through of how you would target a pole?
Yeah, I'd say I'd probably position the boat probably 7 or 8 metres away, and I think it's pretty important to be as accurate as possible. I'll try and land the crab as close to the pole as possible, and I guess it goes back to, I don't know, it might be about 12 or 13 years ago. I went out as an observer in the Australian Open, and I was lucky enough to sit there and watch Chris Hickson fish for a day. And that's one thing that I probably still remember to this day, that when I was sitting there watching him fish, if he'd cast and land a metre out, he'd rip it back in and cast again. It had to land right on the target, or he'd just pull it back in and try again. So I think the casting accuracy is quite important. Get as close as possible to the pole as you can. As I say, sometimes the fish will hit it on the drop. More often than not, probably wait for it to hit the bottom, wait a few seconds. Sometimes I think fish will follow it, pick it up just after it's hit the bottom. If they don't, I'll usually give the rod tip a little shake or just a little lift, just enough to sort of get it up off the bottom and back down, just to sort of draw in any attention from any fish that might be sitting there looking at it or close by, sort of thing. But yeah, I generally don't give it too long. I might give it 15, 20 seconds, give it, a little hop, a little rattle. If nothing picks it up, I'll crank it in and then cast the next pole, sort of thing. So, like when you go along a run of pontoons, there's usually probably at least 4 poles out the front of every pontoon. So I'll try and hit just about every one of them, because I think a lot of the time the fish are sitting pretty close to them. And if you hit the front pole and they're sitting on the back pole, a lot of the time they probably won't come after it. So I think land it as close to on their head as possible and give them every opportunity to have a crack at it.
Exactly. And by ripping it back in halfway, it allows you to, after you've let it be for a while, gives you a chance to cover for more ground, and there's probably more pontoons in the harbour that you can ever hit. So
yeah, exactly, yeah. And as I say, I always try and hit pontoons probably 6 to 12, 6 to 15 feet deep. If it's much deeper than that, I don't know, I'm probably too impatient, and I don't know. Yeah, with the current, sort of takes the lure away a little bit. But yeah, I find the sweet spot about 6 to 12 or 15 feet is perfect. Just bit of current, bit of wash, anything like that, and that depth, usually they're not too far away.
Okay, cool. All right, so that was your bag. What sort of lines and leaders were you running for the day?
Lines and leaders, the rod I used pretty much all day, 6-pound J Braid Grand, 6-pound Sunline Rock Leader.
Okay, so not super heavy. So that was...
No, I usually have a couple of outfits rigged up. First one is the Daiwa crab rod, the Infeed Z. I think it's 782 LFS. I've got a couple of them with Caldia 2500S, the shallow spool on them. So 6-pound J Braid and 6-pound leader. Then I usually rig up a couple of heavier ones, or slightly heavier. When I say heavier, it's still only 8 pounds, but 8-pound J Braid, 8-pound leader on Miller Rod XFLC and I've got 2,500 cetates on them. And, I find with that outfit, you can pull bloody hard. So it's got a lot of guts to it. So, yeah, if the other ones are a bit whippier, they're a bit longer, a bit lighter, I guess. But with the XFLC, I think you can really put some hurt on the fish if you want to try and drag them out. So even though 8 pound doesn't sound all that heavy, it's quite amazing how much you can, lean on that without, breaking it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'd agree. There's a couple of places I fish locked up with 8 pound. So on a much heavier rod. So yeah, 8 pounds plenty.
Yeah. So they're the two outfits, and pretty much all day, I guess. Yeah, I only really used the longer rods. I didn't use the Miller rod too much that day because I was just having success on the one that I was using. And I guess, your best days are those days out when you only use 1 or 2 rods. If you're cycling through the rod locker, throwing everything you've got, you're probably struggling to find a pattern. But when something's working, I tend to just stick to it and keep throwing it.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. All right. Well, all in all, it sounds like a pretty good day. When you got back and you end up winning, what do you get to take home for the win?
Okay, we took home a check for $2,500, which is, I think, a really good payback. And I think, this comp, they've always tried to give probably the best ratio of entry fees to payback. And, they do really pay a high percentage, compared to other comps over the years that have run. This one, they really, give good payouts, and I think even prizes down to about 10th position.
Yeah, it looks that way. And like you said, 2.5K is a nice little check for a day out in the water with your mates catching fish. How good's that?
Yeah, great day out. Yeah, you've got to be happy with a payout like that at the end of the day.
Definitely. Mate, I think that covers everything pretty well. So, mate, before we head off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, look, I guess the only people I'll give a shout out, the guys from Western Sydney Bream and Bass. Firstly, for organising and running the day, but also for the whole series. A lot of time and effort, organisation goes into it. So certainly a shout out for those guys. And, for anyone who's, into this style of fishing, for any sort of lure fishing really, but specifically Bream and Bass, get along to one of their club meetings. They meet at Kingswood Sports Club on the first Wednesday of each month, or every couple of weekends, they do have social outings for both Bream and Bass. And, you can certainly learn a lot from getting along to those outings. You meet a great bunch of blokes, and, so you can learn a lot from talking to the guys over a sausage sandwich at the end of the day. I still remember going along many years ago with those guys and coming home with nothing, or, you get one small fish. And, it was always good to sort of get back there and talk to the guys, and pretty open with their information and telling you how they did it or what they did and how, where they went, sort of thing. So, a great bunch of guys to fish with, and well worth getting along and fishing their club outings.
Definitely. And I mean, that shows a couple of things. First of all, ones like that, like the social day, is a good way if you don't really want to fish a comp, get along to one of those. You've also shown that you've come full circle. If you've been out in the water with the crew and not done that well, and now you've come through to, you've won a couple of comps and what have you. So, yeah, full circle.
Yeah. No, I remember they used to run a comp called the Tri Series, over 3 rounds. And I remember I'd go down to Botany Bay, and I didn't fish Botany Bay all that much. And I'd go out there and think, I've got no idea where I'm going or what I'm doing here. And now I'm pretty comfortable fishing Botany Bay. But that just comes from getting out with those guys regularly. And like I say, you do learn a lot.
Yeah, 100%. All right, mate. That is a great rundown, mate. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And good luck in the next one.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I'm certainly looking forward to fishing a few more rounds, and hopefully we can go okay.
Very good. All right, mate. Have a good day.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Thank you.
All right. So there you have it. What a great little competition. Anyway, moving forward, there's a few things I'd need a bit of help with. So if you're on Instagram, I just started up the Bream Fishing Project Instagram page. So originally I was just running off my personal one, but I've started the new one. It's got really low numbers at the moment. So it'd be really helpful if you could jump across there and like and follow and all that sort of stuff. And same with the YouTube account. So the YouTube account was basically created so that it's just another way for people to listen. At the moment, it is just, there's no video, and I don't have immediate plans to do that. However, I do have some plans to put up some other content on that channel. Sort of traction we can get, the more helpful that will be. So if anyone's happy to go on there and like and subscribe, that would be awesome. aside from that, the tournament shirts are still up. I'll repost that in the next couple of days. So probably by the time this comes out, there'll be another posting of that. We're coming, I think, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll have to wrap that up in terms of pre-orders. So yeah, jump on that. So it's a great little tournament shirt, and I think it'd be really cool if we can go to an event and see a bunch of those floating around the competitors. Especially they'll take a couple of months to come through, so it'll be quite warm, and that's when they're going to come into their own as sun protection, and they're quite a cool shirt and very comfortable to wear. So I hope you enjoy those. All right, I think that's all we've got for you for this week on the Bream Fishing Project. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to next week. I'm thinking we're heading to the Vic Bream Classics, so looking forward to that.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired, and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.